Abby. My name is Abby and I am the Sunflower Baker. And today I would like to invite you into my home to bake along with me. Today we are going to be making nice fluffy buttermilk biscuits. It's great for breakfast, or if you like chicken and biscuits, it goes really well with fried chicken, or just even a snack. They're fun to snack on. But it's a really simple, straightforward recipe. There are only 3 ingredients, but making biscuits is really about the technique and the process to find out how you can make them nice and fluffy and airy and not sad and dense. So let's take a look at our ingredients and get started. All right, so I have washed my hands. As you can see, I have cut myself while getting ready. So I'm gonna pop on a glove because Band-Aids and blood do not go well with biscuits. So here, like I said, we had 3 ingredients. So we're gonna have 2 cups of self-rising flour. Yes, I said self-rising, not all-purpose, not high gluten. This is self-rising flour. If you haven't heard of it before, it is a pre-mix of all-purpose flour, baking powder, and salt. If you don't want to buy your own, you can actually make your own self-rising flour. It's going to be 2 cups of flour, a tablespoon of baking powder, and a half a teaspoon of salt. So that's an alternative, but I liked it just especially when you make a lot of biscuits or you're making a large batch of biscuits, it's just easier to go out and buy it because it's already pre-mixed and you don't have to do anything else. So there you go. So easy peasy, self-rising flour. And then you want a 1/4 cup of shortening. So this is just straight shortening. You can use butter flavored shortening if you prefer. I don't, and I prefer Crisco, so that's just personal preference. You can use any kind of shortening you want. Some biscuits call for butter, but I like to use shortening. I just prefer it better. Anyway, moving on. I also have 1 cup of buttermilk. Again, you can use, if you don't have buttermilk, you can use regular milk. Buttermilk is thicker than regular milk, so you're going to be wanting to use less regular milk. If you go back and watch the scones video, I discussed that at that point and actually use regular milk rather than buttermilk in my scones. But anyway, so we've got self-rising flour, shortening, and buttermilk, and that's it. Except for one thing, which technically isn't an ingredient. You're going to want a small bowl of just regular all-purpose flour. You can toss some self-rising flour in there if you would prefer. Instead, you're going to want a biscuit cutter. This is a small one. This one's probably about 2 inches. But you're going to want, you can also make square biscuits if you want. You can do that with a pizza cutter. And you're also going to want to prep up your pan. So you're going to want a sheet pan with either a silk pat, parchment paper, or you're going to want to rub some shortening on the bottom of your pan to prep that up. So there we go. So we are ready. So just like we have done in many videos, we're going to start with our flour in a bowl. We're going to take our shortening and we're going to rub it in. So yep, we use this method a lot, but it works for a lot of things. So we're actually using the biscuit method to make biscuits. What a treat. So, and one thing that's nice about using shortening in this is that because it's so soft at room temperature, it's actually a lot easier on your hands than using cold butter. And I'm just getting flour everywhere, but that's okay. Biscuits can be messy. So that's one thing that I really like about using the shortening, is that not only does it give the biscuits just a nice flavor and a nice fluffiness, but it's really easy to work with. As you can see, I've actually already got it mixed in. You want to go between a pea and a meal, so about that big. And there we go. So I think I found one chunk. Found a chunk. I'm gonna get that chunk out of there. So let's see if I find it anymore. Nope, we're good. All right, so we are ready to put in our buttermilk. Yes, it is that simple. And this is a small batch. This batch can easily be doubled or tripled if you need. But I just wanted to make a small batch today, so this is a small batch. So we're gonna make a well in the center. Then we're gonna take our cup of buttermilk and we're gonna pour it inside. So this is a pretty sticky dough, but we want it to be that way. That's what helps make them fluffy. And we also want to be sure that we're not overworking our dough. That will make a tough biscuit. So I'm just going to start in here, and I'm going to start incorporating my buttermilk into my flour. So yeah, I'm going to get that all in there. And there we go. And it's almost like if you had a spoon and you were folding, you kind of go around the outside and through the middle and just kind of fluff it. So there we go. So we have a very sticky dough here. You might find some flour in the bottom. That's okay. Again, we want to make sure we're not overworking our dough. And part of that is really not mixing to completion. It's okay to have some flour hanging out in there. So I'm going to pull this to the side, and I'm going to pop some flour onto my table. And this is a really good opportunity to show you, if you have a lot of dough on your hands, which sometimes happens, at this point, what's fun to do is get a handful of flour, kind of get it in your hands, and then you're going to go over the middle of the table and just rub them like this, and that's going to help pull off that biscuit dough that's stuck to the back and the front of your hands. It's almost like washing your hands in biscuit dough. And then you see you have all these little bits of dough. That's okay. Those can incorporate into the bottom of our biscuits. So actually, I'm just going to set those aside for now. So, but I have a light, very light layer of flour on the table, and then I'm going to pull out my dough onto the table. Getting as much as I can out of the bowl. Okay. This is also, if you have really long fingernails, I highly advise getting a pair of gloves to make this, because this dough will get stuck under your fingernails and will get hard and gross, and you know, it's fun to get them out. So I'm just going to put a sprinkling of dough on top and pat that in, and then take this and pull it over, and see we have sticky dough, a little more there. So technically we just want to kind of lightly roll it, not really a full knead, but just kind of a roll. And then put a good layer down now, because I'm going to start. Oh yes, I can put these guys down now. So this is the only time I'm going to put a thick layer down, is when this is going to be the bottom, because I'm going to start patting my dough out. So now I'm going to roll that dough onto that little bed of flour we made. Got a little on my fingers. I'm just going to pull that off. There we go. And then I'm going to flour my hand. And then I'm just going to start patting it. And as I pat it, I'm going to push out into a circle. So, and we want to make sure we don't get this too thin. You want it to be about an inch thick if you want really big tall biscuits, you can go to about 2 inches thick. But there we go. That's it. And when you have a lot, it takes more to pat it out. This is just a little bit. So there's our biscuits. So I'm going to get my pan right here. My biscuit cutter, put that in the flour. Get some flour on that. And then we're just going to cut out some biscuits. Get out of there. Okay, so this is the interesting point we've come to. So we have scraps. We don't want to overwork our scraps or it'll turn out a tough biscuit. So what I have found is if I can just kind of pinch them together, kind of just bring them in. You may have some weird looking tops, but your biscuits stay nice and fluffy. And again, see how we're going to make our little flattened surface again? So there we go. So now I'm going to try to cut what I can out. Oh, that was almost. So sometimes what you can do is if it's almost going to fit, you can just flatten it out slightly a bit more and your cutter will fit on there. All right, so, and there. I think I can get, one thing I'll do with the last biscuit, because the last biscuit's always the hardest to cut out. I'll just fill up my cutter. There we go. All right. So now, and like with the scones, if you want a crispier biscuit, you want to set them farther apart so they don't touch and they crisp on the outside. If you want a softer biscuit, you can line them up together and bake them like this. You can even bake them like in an 8x8 pan, and they'll have softer sides on them. I would like a crispier biscuit today, so I'm going to spread mine out. So that they're not touching. And they are going to fluff up. Let's take this off. All right, so I'm going to go put these in the oven. You want your oven at 350 degrees, and these are going to bake for 15 to 20 minutes. So let's see how we did, and hopefully they're gonna pop up this way and then pop up that way. Be all nice and fluffy and warm. All right, I'll see you very soon. All right, so our biscuits have just come out of the oven. I did pop one open to look at it. So I'm used to baking these in a convection oven, and I forgot to adjust for a home oven. So if you're not baking in a convection oven, you're gonna wanna bake these at 375 degrees instead of 350 degrees. That way you'll get a better browning on the top of your biscuits, and they're probably going to pop up a little more because they're going to heat a lot faster. But I'm still very happy with these. They still have a very good flavor to them. So I wanted to show you kind of the nice, so they're nice and brown on the bottom. If you bake them at 375, they should be this brown on top also. And then if we open them up, they've got a nice fluffy cell structure in there. So they've got a nice crumb, and you can put jam on them or butter or just pop them in your mouth. just like this. And I like them as fresh out of the oven as I can get them. So there are biscuits. Again, nice bottoms on them. If I would have baked them at 375, they would have got better browning on top. But you know, baking is about learning. Sometimes we don't do it right, and next time we will do it right. So there we go. Not always perfect, but that's all right. Still delicious. All right. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you will all visit again soon. Don't forget to help me out by liking this video, or if you want to see more, you can subscribe and ring the bell for notifications. If you have any questions or comments about today's video, please leave a comment below. You can visit the Sunflower Baker Facebook page and leave a comment there or a question, or you can even email me at abby@sunflowerbaker.com. I will get back with you as soon as I can. Did you make biscuits today? Did they turn out all fluffy and warm? Oh, I hope they did. And if you did, I would love to see pictures, even if you failed. Remember, we learn from failure. But I love seeing pictures of people's work and sharing baking, and it's all good. So I hope that you are all happy and healthy, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye.